WrestleMania 1 was an astounding success. Can Vince McMahon repeat with the Wrestling Classic? Next on Turnbuckle Talk.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
I will come away with the championship belt. It's the New Horizon.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest and new Intercontinental Champion.
Gentlemen, welcome back to Turnbuckle Talk. YouTube, you already know who I am. This is your boy Charlie Hustle. To my panel next to me, so I have Payne Gretzky in the building. I have B Fluke in the building. I have EJ the Mouth in the building. And I have Bad Company Brown in the building. Gentlemen, what's really good?
BCB, bitch. Ready for this.
Someone's excited.
Yeah, we're kicking off Turnbuckle Talk episode 2 right now. And I think there's no better way to kick off this episode than to dive into the Wrestling Classic. Now, we all know that Vince McMahon just wrapped up a very successful WrestleMania 1, saving the company from bankruptcy. If you folks at home missed that episode, you could go back and watch our very first episode of Turnbuckle Talk. And as we dive into this episode, November 7th, the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, right? 14,000 in attendance. Second ever huge event for the WWF. A lot of notables, a lot of superstars, a lot of energy coming into this event. And the question around the wrestling world is, can Vince repeat that kind of success? EJ, I'm going to start with you because what we're seeing here is for the first time, a huge battle royal as the core of an event. Talk to me about what stands out to you in the first round of the Wrestling Classic.
The first round. Well, listen, a comedy of errors. Listen, the referees were the biggest joke in that whole tournament. I've seen a lot of busted calls in my day, but boy, they take the cake. And some of these referees were out of there. I don't see them again. Boy, oh boy. Geez. People like JYD coming out victorious. Man, he's one of the worst wrestlers I ever seen. Well, let me take a step back. Maybe I'm being a little bit unfair to the JYD. Basically, this event was all about trying to see if he could gather the crowd and see what you could get out of this before we get into another WrestleMania. So JYD, the Dragon, with his prowess again, loved that match. But a lot of cheating and a lot of errors going on in the first round throughout, actually.
Okay. EJ, I'm gonna hold you there. Sam, talk to me about the first round of the Wrestling Classic. What stood out?
What stood out? What stood out was, granted, EJ just went a whole minute into his whole thing. What stood out to me was how much I hated Randy Savage. And, in his later years, he was one of my favorites. But in his earlier years, he was such a heel. He cheated every match. Mm-hmm. And the disrespect for my crush back in the days, Miss Elizabeth, listen. I wish George Animal still would have whipped his ass.
Elizabeth was a great manager.
She was. She definitely distracted a lot. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just my dislike for Macho Man. But this right here was a man's match. This is a man's tournament. What? You had to win 3 matches to get to the chip, to get the Rolls Royce, and I feel really disrespected. EJ, black man won this. This is the first time I've seen a black man win something big in sports by himself.
In WWE, at least, or WWF, rather.
All right. Well, let me
So
stop
I
you right
applaud
there.
Jay
Sam.
White.
We'll do opening round, Sam. So Payne, let's go to you. The Wrestling Classic 1985, Rosemont Horizon. What stands out to you in the first round of this?
First of all, let's address the blasphemy from Bad Company Brown. Never disrespect Macho Man Randy Savage.
Absolutely. Multiple times.
Greatest heel ever. The way his matches ended make him, or started to make him, one of the greatest heels ever. Macho Man will forever go down as one of the greatest heels, one of the greatest promo cutters ever. And Elizabeth, as a Macho fan, Elizabeth was just always in. All right. Now, first round, what I noticed about the Wrestling Classic was, first of all, I felt like they took a step back from WrestleMania. In technology, in star power, and also in the way the matches ended. There was not a clean win in the first round at all. And that 4 seconds by Davey Boy Smith can kiss my ass.
You ain't never lied.
Yeah, but the Russian deserved it.
My thing, I still can't believe they let the JYD defeat Randy Savage. No disrespect to Junkyard Dog, but come on. And heel Macho Man.
On that note,
somebody mentioned heel Macho. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. Sorry.
On that, what we'll do right now is we'll pass it right to you, B Fluke. Let's talk to me, Wrestling Classic, the opening round. Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm going to try to go off subject, but I'm going to stick to the topic, though. I'm looking at the time period of what was going on, in the WWF and in professional wrestling as a whole. I mean, WrestleMania being successful as it was by then, Vince had already proven, I can do this, I can sell out an arena and stuff like that. But you got to look at the also the timeline, the chronology of what was going on with the Black Saturday, with him going over to TBS and all of that, and that becoming a flop and having to, abort that. So this was the first real attempt of a pay-per-view event. I'm speaking from a business standpoint, with this event, with this Wrestling Classic. So this was kind of like the aftermath of the Black Saturday thing when that turned into a flop. This is kind of, they've already proven themselves with WrestleMania. So this is like, oh, let's see. At this point, Vince was pretty much, from a business standpoint, we've already proven ourselves, but with this, let's see where it goes. And then we'll decide if we do another WrestleMania, if this is a hit. So that's my take on that, just as a business, standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah, winning this match as on a count out. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Well,
that was tough.
Let me tie off the first round here so that we understand where we are, team. Ben coming in with 5 points at the end of the first round. We have Sammy with 6 points at the end of the first round. EJ with 7 points at the end of the first round. Payne is sitting on 10 points at the first round. Special bonus given to Payne for acknowledging the greatest of all time in the Macho Man Randy Savage. Let's go to the second round of the Wrestling Classic. So we've started to advance further in the tournament here. Ben, I'm going to go right back to you here in the second round. What stood out in the second round to you in the Wrestling Classic?
Well, the second round, I would say the Dynamite Kid. Like, you look at him and Davey Boy Smith, they were always a tag team, but this is the first time you saw them as a singles separated.
Yeah.
Same with Nikolai Volkov, him tagged up with the Iron Sheik. This was showing, Vince was basically, I see where he was going with, showing the versatility, like till later, like when I think of that, I think of like later on down the line, how he would pair up the Strike Force, Heart Foundation, and how they all broke off into their own singles with Tito Santana becoming Intercontinental Champion, Rick Martel being who he was, and like same with Bret the Hitman Hart, and everyone else after that. So that was like the blueprint to breaking up the tag teams and turning them into singles individuals. Like even with Shawn Michaels and the Rockers, say later on down the line, this was pretty much the blueprint to that going forward in years to come.
Good point. Sammy, I'm going to go to you here. Wrestling Classic 1985, second round now, of course. What stands out to you in the second round of the Wrestling Classic?
The biggest blooper of this whole tournament How do you let JYD advance to the second round, to the next round, by having Tito Santana and Mr. Wonderful both disqualified on a count out? They should have made them get in. Like, there shouldn't have been a count out. They should have made someone win, because that gave the advantage to JYD going on to the next round. He's the only person that had one less person to deal with.
Yeah. Strong work, Sam. I'm actually impressed. I hear you. EJ, Wrestling Classic, second round, the biggest standout to you?
The biggest standout to me, Jesse the Body Ventura. He goes off and says, I've got to leave the booth. Now, in what day and age, what event do you know an announcer leaving the booth, leaving his operational duties to go off and be a part of the event?
He was one of the original haters.
He was
breaking the fourth wall. Get out of here with this mess. On top of that, Savage, boy, oh boy. And did he take that information and instruction to heart? Boy, oh boy. Reaching right into the tights with the brass knucks. Using them immediately to advance to the next round. Too bad JYD sits there and gets a bye after the worst match in wrestling history with two dogs in the competition. You got Moon Dog, Junkyard Dog. Get these dogs out of here. Boy, oh boy. That was the worst match I ever seen in life. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, well done, EJ. That JYD thing myself.
Yeah. Well done, EJ. Strong second round. Strong in the second round there by EJ. Payne, you're batting cleanup here. These guys are batting strong in the second round here. Where are you, second round Wrestling Classic?
Second round. You guys touched on some cute points here and there. You know, I got a few notes. Speaking of cute, let's go adorable. Let's take a quick note that Adrian Adonis gave us the first look at the sharpshooter in the second round.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Excellent point. Excellent.
Wow.
We got our first look at Macho versus Steamboat.
Yeah, that's right. Great point.
And Macho brings out the brass knucks, the aforementioned brass knucks that, we supposedly think that Jesse the Body gave him backstage. The first foreign object in like a pay-per-view that I can recall. I could be wrong. And then no one mentioned this. The JYD Moondog spot thing, no ref. JYD counted his own 3 count.
Yes.
Right.
Hey.
Okay, this is blasphemy.
There was definitely a lot of flaws in this tournament.
Right.
There definitely was.
So JYD skated to the finals. He had a first round match, second round match. He counted his own 3 count, and then he had a bye. What is this?
Great point.
And how, I mean, you missed on how Macho Man was allowed to cheat in his first match, but then they turned the call around in another match later on and allowed, who was it?
Tito Santana.
Tito Santana that ended up winning. Against Morocco. Yeah.
Like, come on, Morocco was my dude back then.
He was.
Great point by Little. Unbeknownst to you fellas, I had 3 guaranteed 5-point bonuses laid out, and you guys didn't touch on that. That reverse call in the Morocco match was a travesty.
Yeah,
it definitely was.
That was
I the one that spoke on it.
The second point that we didn't talk about tonight, which was a guaranteed bonus point, is this is the last time that we saw New York Adrian Adonis, right? It's the last event where you would see that. Because everything else moving forward, we saw the adorable one. And so
the Basti one, you're right. Yeah. And
then the most obvious bonus point opportunity of the night was missed by the panel here, where probably the best match of the evening was Lord Alfred versus Susan Wakes.
Oh my God. He's lucky he's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
They put the
harassed.
camera on Lord Alfred.
Listen.
He had her in the chokehold. Now, I'm not sure if y'all were tuned in.
Listen,
Come on,
tuned in. Like, oh boy, listen. Don't forget, I mentioned comedy of errors. I didn't have a chance due to time restraints here by the host here, but I didn't get a chance to talk about Davy Boy Smith and the job that they did on him by taking away the victory, the jaws of victory. Hey, he was possible to win that match against Steamboat. Now, here's the funny thing. How does the ref call a match? Because the British Crown jewels were being stolen here? The British Crown jewels
again,
were being brought here?
The first
we
time
don't know
Davey
what
Boy
Davey
got
Boy
cheated, though,
said.
you got to realize that's like a pattern that kept going down through the years. Even with the Royal Rumble, he got cheated out the Royal Rumble too. So it's something with Vince and WWF and Davey Boy Smith getting cheated out of stuff.
But you know what? They were the young boys at that time, so they had to, they had to earn their stripes.
He jumps into the ropes, and all I see is match done. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, what is this comedy of errors?
Listen, there is no point in bringing up a spectacular point when you are no longer in the ring. So while that was a very valid point to bring up, you are no longer in the ring. So these points will not count. What we will do is tally up our points to move into the championship matchup. Ben finished the first 2 rounds with 12 points. Sam finished the first 2 rounds with 14 points. EJ finished with 18. And Payne finished with an astounding 24 points in the first 2 rounds. B Fluke, give us your parting shots on the Wrestling Classic.
My parting shots, I would have to say, just the mountain of errors and stuff, and the disqualifications, the amounts of there's more disqualifications than pinfalls in this whole thing, and this was supposed to be the event that was supposed to push WWF over, and to me it came off as like a regular Saturday program as opposed to a pay-per-view. So it definitely had that feel like you're watching superstars of wrestling on a Saturday morning. Bruno Sammartino might as well have been on the commentary or whatever. They're throwing people like Lord Alfred Hayes in there and like the silly. I understand where he was going, but could have been better. They could have. Remember, there was no Hulk Hogan involved in this. So the big name in this was Paul Orndorff at the time, Mr. Wonderful. So I was expecting Mr. Wonderful to walk out on top with this, as opposed to JYD.
I definitely did too.
So that's my final thought.
Okay, B Fluke, we will accept the final thoughts. We will see you next week here on Turnbuckle Talk. Sam, before we throw you out of here, give us your final take on the Wrestling Classic. Well,
for one, I would like to say, thank you for the opportunity. I got farther than I did the last time. This was a great tournament. Great prize at the end. Glad to see my man JYD come out with the victory. I'm a big fan of Davey Boy Smith. I wish he could have, moved on. Definitely wanted him to beat Steamboat, because Steamboat definitely was scared of him from the interview. As soon as he pulled the name, he was like, that's a great guy. What he really meant to say was, I'm about to get the beat out of me. That's what he really wanted to say. It didn't happen. But thank you all for having me. BCB out of here.
Bad Company is out. That leaves us with our championship match here of the great one, Payne Gretzky versus EJ the Mouth. And I think when you get to a championship match like this, I think the only way to really have this conversation as it relates to the Wrestling Classic is to talk about the best baby faces and the best heels of the night. Payne, I'm going to start with you after a dominant first 2 rounds here. Talk to me about the best baby faces and then the best heels. And I'll tell you what we'll do. Give me 2 of each. Give me the best 2 baby faces and the best 2 heels of the event.
Okay, so let's go with the faces. I'm a heel guy, so we'll save the best for last. So the faces, let's start there first. Best baby faces. Underrated, Tito Santana as the Intercontinental Champion. Very technical, very sound. And Tito Santana might have top 3 ever drop kicks in the profession, right?
Okay.
So let's go there first. Second, and this has been a travesty and a beef I've had with Vince for a long time. Dynamite Kid should have had as big a push as they gave Davey Boy Smith as a singles competitor. He was very athletic, he was very strong, he had the physique, he had the look. He could have been what Shawn Michaels was when he was a rocker. Leave the group, become a star on his own. Same thing with Bret Hart. He could have followed the Bret Hart. They all went to the same wrestling school. So I think not Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, was the best face in the whole tournament. And as evidence as how far he got, right? Now let's go to the heels. Adrian Adonis, because as you stated earlier, that was the last time we saw Brooklyn Adrian Adonis, and I was a fan of that before Vince turned him into a clown show and made him the first Goldust. And I don't know if Adrian did something to piss Vince off to make him do that, or if Vince was just being an ass clown from the gate. Secondly, I said it earlier, the greatest heel of all time, Macho Man Randy Savage. From the gate, he exudes heel. He cheated in every match. He's talking. He's bossing Elizabeth around. He's pointing to the crowd when he's out, and he's talking to people in the crowd when he's outside the ring. What else could you ask for from a heel? Perfect heel. Other than Ventura, he was probably the biggest heel in the whole tournament.
Go away to mention Jesse there. That's another dominant round by Payne Gretzky. EJ, you're up against the ropes, as they would say here. We're going to throw the ball to you. Do you make a Hogan turnaround here? Talk to us about the 2 best baby faces and the 2 best heels in the Wrestling Classic.
Oh, boy. This is tough. Look, that's a nice, talk about cute. That was adorable, adorable, painfully adorable. Listen, great baby face. I'll have to give credit where credit is due to JYD. We have to. JYD did come out victorious in the whole tournament. I think he probably shouldn't have gotten that far. I think he should have lost way back when to even Moondog Spot back in the day, a round or 2 before. But, JYD does get to the final, but I'm going to give you a reason why the heel. Let me give you a heel and then we'll go back.
Okay.
Greatest heel, Ventura. Why? Because he spoils JYD's final hurrah. Because at the end of the match, the whole spotlight wasn't on JYD after the end. It was Jesse claiming that the victory should never gone to him because he didn't have the same amount of wrestlers to go through that Macho did. Speaking about the other heel, well, the person who he helped get to that point. Hey, Payne made a great point. He cheated his way through almost every single round with brass knucks, with feet on the ropes. My goodness, how many different moves, how many different cheating moves do you have to do? Well, let me rephrase. It's not really cheating. It's not really cheating unless you get caught. So you know what? He did the best he could with the information that he got, and he was a great one. Let me throw in a third heel in there. I know you asked for 2. Roddy Piper. Okay. My goodness. Now, who can entice the crowd more than Roddy Piper? My goodness. Between him and Orton, man, Hogan has a lot of people that he has to go up against. But Roddy Piper, even though he's not the best wrestler out there, he can sure entice a crowd, and he can sure bring eyeballs to the event.
Okay. All right. It's a strong round there by EJ. -2 for going off topic and not answering the question. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tally you up here. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 points in a strong championship match for EJ. But I'll tell you something. Payne really impressed me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 24 points for Payne in the championship round here. And so, EJ, you've been bested by Payne here at the Wrestling Classic. Any parting shots?
Parting shots. Great matchup, Payne. Not really painful. Let me take some of that back. I'll be a gentleman out here and give you a great parting shot. Listen, but I'll say this. Listen, you almost lost here tonight. Because if you go by my motto, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. And I'll part with that.
EJ Lavelle is out of here. Payne, you are in the lead dog spot. And now, of course, because you've just taken out the competition, you stand on top of the turnbuckle, off the top rope, you go.
To quote the greatest heel of all time, the cream always rises to the top. Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm going to harp on the heels of this match, starting at the very top because we all know it flows downstream. Vince McMahon, the biggest heel ever. Who the fuck did he give that silver cloud to? Did we ever see somebody win that? I don't think anyone won it. Vince is a villain. Jesse the Body. He snuck the brass knucks to Macho Man. Macho Man, biggest heel of the whole tournament. And also Vince is a villain for never letting JYD ever win a title, but win this tournament in such a half-assed fashion that it's always questioned. So in my mind, Vince McMahon may very well be the greatest villain of all time overall, but as far as wrestling goes, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. Rest in peace, Macho Man.
Excellent job here tonight here on Turnbuckle Talk. We have seen Payne Gretzky come out victorious as we've gone through our championship round here on Turnbuckle Talk. Tune in next week as we will have the recap of WrestleMania 2 and the events that unfolded with that. Until next time, we'll catch you for Payne Gretzky, for EJ the Mouth, for Bad Company Brown, for Beef Luke. We'll holla.